America and the country of
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Associated Guest. As always, oops. I don't know what's going on with my headset lately. As always, am your host, Alfie Animus, here at the Bear in Mind channel. Today, Trump delays the bombing ultimatum for Iran, at least for a little bit. We'll see what's going on with that. There was another horrible plane crash. This one happened on the ground. We'll get into that for just a little bit. And we'll get a little deeper into the story from yesterday about a bunch of retards going to Cuba and diverting power so that they can have a fancy time while pretending to care about things. But that being said, let's get into it.
misinformation. The difference. There's so much misinformation regarding Iran, regarding President Trump, regarding the regime, regarding the people. I often...
And this is why I always say, and I'm guilty of it too, as an old friend of mine pointed out the other day. Sometimes something that sounds like, or that sounds similar to, or reminiscent of something that has already happened, gets advertised, gets posted, gets put on the news or whatever, and you see it, and you're just like, oh my god, it doesn't surprise me, and you hit share or whatever. It happens to us all. Like I said, myself, I've caught myself doing it a couple of times. It's especially when you're as deep into the weeds as I am with some of this stuff. You start to just drown. But I can't imagine how it is for people who who only just scrolling through whatever social media platform that you're on. And you have no idea what's really going on. You just know it kind of sounds like whatever news organization you happen to frequent. But, and again, that's why you have to take in news or people's input from multiple points as opposed to just the one. Otherwise, you're going to grow to hate people pretty quickly. I mean, and I'm okay with not liking people in general. I'm not a big fan of people, but hating people, it's a big waste of energy.
I've asked you, like, where do you line up? And the truth is, we used to be able to ask those questions. Now we have to ask, okay, where do you line up and what's your basis for that? Because people aren't even agreeing on central tenets, on basic facts. And I think that it's a legitimate conversation to have. Okay, to what degree should the United States intervene? How will this affect midterms, the optics? What does the timeline look like? Absolutely. But you have some people out there who believe that Iran has never attacked Americans. Yes, they have. Who believe that Iran was nowhere near becoming a nuclear power. Of course they were.
And this is one of the things that drives me nuts. Especially from technically, I guess, what used to be independent news sites, which have turned into pretty much just tabloid schlock, like the Other 98, Occupy Democrats, a bunch of other of these news organizations that I used to be very into around the time of Occupy Wall Street, the Young Turks. And now none of it's real. It's tabloid nonsense, or it's something that takes one little perspective of something and builds an entire narrative off of that when there's the other 90% of everything that happened.
Who believe that Iran posed as no threat. Who believe that the people of Iran actually like their regime. These are just not accurate. These aren't half-truths. These are factual inaccuracies. And the reason I bring that up is because I wonder if people knew the truth. If people knew that there was a nation out there that oppressed and killed and imprisoned its own people, who have said that they will kill Americans at any given opportunity. They are a death cult who want to bring about the apocalypse, have said death to America, death to America. if you may believe them. And then that might change your jumping off point. So a lot happened over the weekend. Just this morning, President Trump dropped this statement on Truth, and then there's been an update since then. He wrote, "I am pleased to report that the United States of America and the country of Iran have had, over the last 2 days, very good, productive conversations regarding a complete and total resolution of our hostilities in the Middle East based on the tenor and tone of these in-depth, detailed, and constructive conversations, which will continue throughout the week. They better continue. I have instructed the Department of War to postpone any and all military strikes against Iranian power plants, energy infrastructure for a 5-day period, subject to the success of the ongoing meetings and discussions. Thank you for this attention to this matter," right, his signature. This comes after, throughout the weekend, he set a 48-hour deadline where he threatened to blow up Iran's power plants. Also, the reason that's important is because that would affect the civilian population.
Starting with the biggest one first.
Most of them seemingly still welcome it if you read from them on social. Obviously not a lot of polling data to come in, but he made that threat earlier, and this is what we saw today. So this is the earlier threat. He said, "If Iran doesn't fully open without threat the Strait of Hormuz within 48 hours from this exact point in time, the United States of America will hit and obliterate their various power plants, starting with the biggest one first."
I did start with the biggest one.
So the new statement happened. Markets are kind of rebounding. According to CNBC's Joe Kernan, the discussion, they seem to center around the idea of regime change, which is really a technicality because there is a change of regime since most of them are dead.
The futures are spiking on that Truth Social post from the president that the U.S. and Iran have had productive discussions. I just spoke to the president. President Trump said the discussions have been very good over the last 48 hours, very intense discussions. I said, well, with whom? I thought, there aren't a lot of leaders left alive. He said they have representatives, obviously. The president went on to say or insist that this is regime change because it's totally different people that were involved in the last
it involves the ones that are still
regime.
alive. Yeah.
I would imagine some of the people are the same. This is the president's take on that, insisting that it's regime change. He went on to say the great meetings, great conversations, and hopes that within the next 5 days something very substantive can be arrived at for the end of hostilities.
And this is the problem in the era of misinformation. And by the way, you are a useful tool if you're delivering misinformation, just so you know. Anyone out there who thinks that the communist Chinese government, the communist Cuban government, or the Islamo-Commie fascists in the Iranian regime, the Islamic Republic, are not feeding disinformation to willing participants, you live in a fool's paradise, just to be clear. I'll get to the updates, but here's one thing that I do want to keep in context. Presidents don't exist in a vacuum. And a big reason, too, that I think this is unfair for people to attack President Trump on wrongful premises is that in comparing him to other administrations, I want you to do something for me, okay? Name me a single president. Name me a single president in modern American history who didn't say, hey, of course, we cannot allow Iran to get a nuke.
There isn't one. There's no president that I can remember, even Obama, that didn't say, well, that was okay with the idea of Iran getting a nuke. None of them. Even though I don't think that the Obama nuclear deal was a great idea. And people who were saying that Trump's current plan, at least the one that he's laid on the ground now, is basically Obama's nuclear deal. You're living in fantasy land. It's not. It's similar, yes. But there's 3 points in particular. Hold on, I have it pulled up on my thing over here. It's yeah. Okay, so again, this is on the other 98. Sorry, I have it on my phone. The U.S. wants Iran to make 6 commitments. No missile program at all for 5 years. That wasn't part of the Obama nuclear deal. Zero uranium enrichment, not part of the the Obama nuclear deal. Decommissioning of nuclear reactors, absolutely not part of Obama's nuclear deal. Obama's nuclear deal was there, and I'll never understand why we're okay with other countries having nuclear energy and nuclear waste, but we're not okay to do that here for some reason. But decommissioning of nuclear reactors, that was not a part of it at all. The whole point of the Obama nuclear deal was they could enrich uranium enough to support a nuclear power plant, but not enough for nuclear weapons. Arms control treaty with regional countries, which was kind of part of it. No financing for regional proxies. Well, that part was not part of because at the time nobody really believed, at least on the left, that they are financing terrorist cells across the Middle East. Strict outside observation protocols around the creation and uses of centrifuges. That part was a part of the Obama nuclear deal. And then this person says, oh, so they want the Obama nuclear deal minus Obama's signature. Got it. This is absolutely retarded. And it's shit like this. It's oversimplifying or just making like squeezing and like squinching your eyes to make things look like whatever makes your point of view fit into reality, which is absolutely retarded. Yeah, and of course, I can't shut my mouth. I said this is absolutely not the Obama nuclear deal because it's not. Like factually, I've researched it. I put it through 3 different AI, and all of them come back. Even ChatGPT, which the right would say has a leftist bias, and of course, Grok, which the left would say has a right-wing bias. I don't know how AI has bias, but that's what word on the street is. But yeah, it's absolutely insane that people would think this. Anyway, continuing.
Name me a single president. Biden said it. Obama said it. George W. Bush said it. Clinton said it. George Bush Sr. said it. Ronald Reagan said it. You go, every single one said, of course, they cannot get a nuke.
Oh,
now,
boy.
Name me a single international governing body who didn't also recognize Iran as a danger because they're a rogue terror state. Name me one.
Until the last couple of years. Yeah.
Now name me
None.
a single president who did anything about it. That's the
Whoever actually did anything about it, yeah. Also a part of the Obama nuclear deal, we threw billions of dollars their way to help them set it up. Some would argue we gave them more money than we're spending right now to stop it. But anyway.
That's the difference. That's the difference. And people saying, well, President Trump promised he wouldn't. He's always said that they wouldn't be allowed to have a nuke. I think it's also pretty important to note that billions of dollars, not only unfrozen, but in cash given to Iran under the Barack Obama administration. You think it maybe takes some work to undo that? Do you think that maybe accelerated the danger?
I think the left would claim that as doing something about it, too.
If Iran acted out, if Iran
it's
did
doing
what they have
something.
been
It's
doing
not
now,
anything to
basically bombing
hinder
their own neighbors. If they got a nuke or they had the serious capabilities to harm every major city in Europe, which seems to be the case, and they did it, of course, President Trump would be blamed. Here's what the media would do. They would blame President Trump, and they would try and paint it as Barack Obama and Joe Biden tried to stop it, did enough. He's damned if he does, he's damned if he doesn't. Okay, Glenn, we create vitamins A. Every batch.
Try Foundation, I guess.
Shortly after that truth, the foreign minister denied any
Look at
talks
that,
took
it's right
place
there.
from Iran, and then President Trump immediately responded to that. So here's up to the minute.
Foreign ministry says you're not telling the truth when it comes to productive conversations to end the war.
Well, they're going to have to get themselves better public relations people. We have had very, very strong talks. We'll see where they lead. We have major points of agreement. I would say almost all points of agreement. Perhaps that hasn't been conveyed. The communication, as you know, has been blown to pieces. They're unable to talk to each other. But we've had very strong talks. Mr. Witkoff and Mr. Kushner had them.
Who is Steve Witkoff speaking with, Mr. President?
A top person. Don't forget, we've wiped out the leadership phase 1, phase 2, and largely phase 3. But we're dealing with the man who I believe is the most respected and the leader. You know, it's a little tough. We've wiped out everybody.
Is that the Supreme Leader?
No, not the Supreme Leader. We don't.
Not much talk
Well,
about
nobody heard of the second Supreme Leader, the son.
Are these direct?
Nobody. We have not heard from the son. Every once in a while, you'll see a statement made, but we haven't. We don't know if he's living.
And I know that none of this matters to
I mean, I don't know if I would have said that out
who've
loud,
made up their minds.
honestly.
And by the
They probably do very much know whether or not he is actually alive. It's probably just a goof on his part, just kind of ribbing. But yeah, anyway.
way, like I've said in the past, I haven't. I said, let's check back in 3 months. I understand there's information that will be incomplete for me as it relates to matters of national security and war. That's the nature of it, and I accept that. You have some people, though, who somehow still believe that Iran was not in any way a nuclear threat. I know some of you watching right now go like, well, no one actually disputes that. No, actually a lot do. Did you know that? Did you know that a lot of people online think that that's a psyop, that it's propaganda? That Iran was nowhere near nuclear capabilities? They think it's been a lie because it's been warned about for decades. I don't know if you remember, Iran's foreign minister said they had enough material for about 10 bombs.
I never said that we are going to make bombs. I said that we have 440 kilos of 60% enriched material, and that was not a secret. That is what is mentioned in the reports of the IAEA. So I said that, look, this is mentioned in the report. This, if enriched more, can be good enough for 10 bombs, as your own experts claims.
So the IAEA said they were 60% enrichment. Our administration said they were close. Iran themselves said, yeah, we could, we may not, we could, but you have people out there, in order to say that Donald Trump is a warmonger, say, no, none of that is true. It's all a psyop from Israel. I don't want a single American to die for Israel. I don't want a single American to die because Iran.
And neither do I. And I will say, it does seem like Republicans are just a little too much on that because, again, under the Obama nuclear deal, that percentage and that amount are arguably okay, if I'm remembering correctly. I might be off on that. If I am, be sure to drop it in the comments. But I can understand, given Iran's history and their connection to many, many, many terrorist attacks in the region and abroad, and especially in the Western world, ever since this whole thing started, like a month ago now. It's definitely scary, but anyway. Continue.
Iran exists, to be clear. That's why I don't want Americans to die for any other country, including Iran. Many Americans have, to be clear.
Over decades.
Yes. Yeah. You do have to acknowledge, though, that they said they could. International governing bodies said they could. And then when you take into account this isn't completely confirmed, reportedly they fired missiles at Diego Garcia, which is about 2,000 miles away. Now, allegedly, they were fired, they were intercepted. We don't know. But we do know this. They've been launching missiles at their nearby supposed friends or somewhat neutral allies out of desperation. And some of those have required missiles that tell us they actually, Iran, if what he said is true, and they have enough for 10 bombs.
Sneako's retarded. He's dead. He died. Trump killed him. Whether or not you agree that he should have is another thing, but Sneako's retarded.
Bombs. Every major city in Europe is within Iran's missile range.
Yeah.
We're seeing now what Marco Rubio said to be true. Out of desperation, because they're going to be destroyed anyway, now they're firing them off. So the nation that has said, we will kill every Westerner that we can. They want America first. They want to kill America first. And, of course, Israel. I get it.
I'm just glad they're America first.
Right.
Yeah.
But any major city in Europe will do. Again, I go back to, name me a single president who did not say we have to prevent Iran from getting a nuke. You won't find one. Same thing for the international governing bodies. Name me a single president who actually did anything other than talks and giving them cash. I give him credit for that.
Yeah. And allowing them to develop their ballistic missile program. And this is the problem with that. It's not just that the European theater now comes into play. It's that every talking head on X and everywhere else that's been so anti because this is Israel's war, it doesn't benefit the United States at all, has said that their range is only half of what it would take for them to actually hit Diego Garcia.
Right.
That changes things because maybe, God forbid, the United States president knows more about what's going on than you do.
Right.
I would hope
That's
so.
the game changer. Now, it's yet to be confirmed, so I don't want to speak too strongly on it, but that would be like, holy crap, maybe the thing that we always knew was possible is that the DNI and the President of the United States both know more about what's going on than you do. Maybe.
Yeah. It seems like this conversation should be centering around the level of legitimacy as to the threat of Iran, or how seriously they should be taken, not whether they want to cause irreparable damage to anyone they can get their hands on in the Western world. It's bizarre to me that that's where the conversation centers. And this is why I said, hey, hopefully you guys have set your clock. March 4th, 19 days ago, I said, give this military action, give it 3 months, and then come back to me, and I'll have a more developed opinion. Give it 3 months. I think we have a clip. Or was that just the...
No,
that
it's
was,
just a little
yeah. 23 days ago it started. 19 days ago I said give it about 3 months. Because that will determine the level of support that this receives. If it's swift, if it's fast, if it's effective,
Anyway.
it would help in the midterms. If it's long, if it's drawn out, if it's unclear, if it's opaque, it'll hurt. But people trying to trumpet as loudly as they can right now, this is going to hurt them, and I regret my vote. You're being more preemptive than the left.
Yeah. And by the way, they're saying that Donald Trump said he was the peace president, and that's why. He didn't lie to you guys. He is the peace president. Mm-hmm. Look back at his first term. What was he the peace president through? Strength. Mm-hmm. Peace through strength. He understands a threat is out there, and he's going to have to deal with it. Nobody wants us to have to deal with these threats, but they exist. So he's dealing with it for peace.
Yeah. Unless you
Not
believe...
hard.
Let me know. Do you think...
I hate agreeing with Gerald, but yes.
In nuclear Iran, or Iran with biochemical weapons and intermediate range missiles, do you think that's a more peaceful world?
That's the only question that matters is, do you think that they were a threat? Do you think that they were on their way to get nukes, which seems pretty obvious, and if they had them, would they use them? And if the answer is you think yes,
well, people
stopping that is peace. I mean, it's just a matter of how you do it. If you do it really effectively, then it's really easy to argue for peace. If you don't do it effectively, and you're there for 5-6 months or longer, it's hard to argue effectiveness.
Well, a lot of people out there will say, well, nukes are a deterrent. Well, that's true if they share any of your Western sensibilities whatsoever. You need to understand this particular version of Islam, this Islamic death cult, they don't value the lives of their own people in the same way.
Especially since they're not all Muslim.
Right.
In Iran.
Right.
But the regime doesn't care. They will gladly sacrifice all of their people and take you with them. It's not the same as other nations who want to preserve their people. Iran's dogma is, we're going to bring about the apocalypse. We want to speed it up. It's a very, very different prospect. And yet people out there telling you, no, that's not true. Just read their own words. Look into the 12th Imam. We've done a segment on it. You can go back to a previous episode. Does that shed some new light on it?
Well, we set them back a bit, didn't we?
We did. And we set them back quite a bit.
We brought it up before, but just to reiterate, the earlier we do this, the less possible casualties are involved in it. The longer we wait, the more dangerous it becomes for all involved.
And some people say, well, we've been saying that since the 70s. Sure. At a certain point, right, you ever have this? It's go time. If you have someone who never straightens up and flies right, you'd rather fight them, you'd rather deal with them before they are at their strongest, before they are in their most powerful state.
Especially when they have something to, leverage.
Yes.
Like oil, Strait of Hormuz.
All of it. Yep, that's exactly right. And also, I understand. We're going to get to Cuba here in a second. These regimes, this is one thing that's very consistent. You look at Venezuela, the people are happy. You look at Iran, the people want to see the regime out. Same thing with Cuba. They want their regime out.
Yep.
Only communists and some people on the right saying, no, that's a psyop. That's not true. Doesn't mean it's our job to. But at a certain point, you do have to say, hey, maybe a bunch of people have mutually aligned interests that these regimes are bad. These people are starving. You look at the amount of weight that the average Venezuelan lost, by the way, that's choking off Cuba at the same time. And you are fortunate that you could go to the store and just pick up a steak whenever you want, though you shouldn't do that. You're still here.
All right, so we're going to get into the plane crash with
You see the plane crash last night?
Mr.
No,
Gold
people
here.
asked me about that. Let me see if I can pull that up. Footage capturing a horrifying moment. An Air Canada Express plane slammed into a Port Authority fire truck on a runway.
And this is crazy. I know it's only a 3-minute video, but that's
Yeah, they
crazy.
didn't need to be there.
And you wonder
Holy shit.
why this happened.
Jesus.
And he's going to show why
I
here
wonder
in
who
just a
fucked
second.
up. It seems like
The-
this is the truck's
the air
fault.
traffic
Like,
controller.
Maneuvering a large commercial aircraft is not
Well, thanks for
something
sure.
you
It's
can
not
just,
the
"Oh,
pilot's
okay, take a
fault."
left." But like a fire truck, you could have turned the fire truck. ATC told them to go. The
Yeah.
ATC audio is haunting.
Well, at first, and then he didn't listen.
Was dealing with a separate emergency when they mistakenly cleared a fire truck onto the runway while the Air Canada
Yeah.
jet was still landing.
Hey, thanks for the follow, Animated125.
Declaring an emergency. The flight attendants in the back are feeling ill. Because of the odor, we will need to go into any available gate at this time.
Okay, roger that. Hey, this is Ed again. Do you guys have any gate for United? Because now they're declaring an emergency. They want to get out. United 2384, the ramp doesn't have a gate for you yet, but I'm trying to get in touch with the Port Authority to see if they have something. And the fire trucks are over there. They're going to bring a truck just in case you guys do want to evacuate. Let me know if you do.
Copy. We'd prefer to wait on a gate, but I mean, again, we only got so much time here because there's still a bit of an odor in the back of the airplane.
Jazz 646, you up?
Yeah, with you for DRLS 4 for Jazz 646.
646, number 2, clear to land 4.
Clear to land number 2 for Jazz 646.
And 2384, do you have a gate available at this time? Otherwise, we will be probably requesting air stairs.
Give me 1 second.
2384.
Stand by, United. Who's the vehicle needed to cross the runway?
Truck 1 and Company LaGuardia Tower requesting to cross 4 at Delta.
Truck 1 and Company, cross 4 at Delta.
Truck 1 and Company crossing 4 at Delta.
Frontier 4195 to stop there, please. Stop. Truck 1, stop. Sorry, Truck 1. Stop, Truck 1. Stop. Stop, Truck 1, stop.
The animation may not be accurate. It's being creative based on aircraft and truck final locations, considering the trucks were responding to the emergency at the other aircraft.
4195, we're staying here.
Delta 2603, go around, runway heading 2000. Jazz 646. Jazz 646, I see you collide with a vehicle here. Just hold position. I know you can't move. The vehicle's there responding to you now.
Is the runway closed?
Delta 2603, go around, runway heading 2000. Go on to runway 4 now. Proceed on runway 4, you have access. Frontier 4195, I got the word that we're going to be closed for a little while. If you want prepared to return to the ramp, let me know.
Yeah, we got stuff in process for that, man. That wasn't good to watch.
Yeah, I know I was here. I tried to reach out to my stuff, and we were dealing with an emergency earlier, and I messed up.
No, man, you did the best you could.
Wow, that's really sad. That sucks.
That poor guy.
That truck didn't listen. As a pilot, I assure you that it's amazing. More accidents don't happen. See, that's the thing. Like, maybe this is politically incorrect for me to say, but like, I mean, if you have thousands of planes going down every day, thousands of planes, you'd be expecting to be seeing one of these a week. They do such a good job. It's
How
an
many people
fucking
died
good job.
in
Yeah,
the
the ATC said to
plane
go,
collision
the
with the
truck
fire truck
confirmed, and
last
ATC said to stop without identification. I mean, can't you pay attention? I mean, like, I mean, look. Can't you just look and be like, damn, what the, oh, wow. I don't know what to say.
Was landing with passengers and crew on board when it struck the fire truck.
Yeah, the pilot and co-pilot died. Dozens of people were injured. The fire truck. Wow, the people on the fire truck were only injured. I mean, severely injured, but that's surprising. I've seen one horrible fire truck crash. So I used to work in a warehouse where our trucks used to go in and out. We were spanning 2 streets. Our dock point of entry for incoming and outgoing was on a dead end street. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if the guy was listening to music or just not looking around him, but a fire truck had a fire truck had kicked its lights on and was coming up behind it, and the guy got into the left turn lane to turn, and I guess he didn't hear the fire truck, and the fire truck went into the oncoming lane of traffic, which was empty. The truck driver didn't see it, and the fire truck corrected back and slammed into the back of this 18-wheeler. It was horrible, man. That was before I went into the military. That is one of 3 things that I've seen in my life that I will never forget. It was horrific. The fire truck guys, because the front of most fire trucks are solid glass. It looks like a bug's face. And yeah, that ran straight into the solid steel backside of this particular 18-wheeler. And yeah, it's not something you normally see in a small town. Lucky me. But yeah, the other was a couple aircraft crashed inside of a mostly decommissioned minefield in Afghanistan, and yeah, another one I really don't want to get into, but yeah, it's stuff like that's horrific, but I don't know. They're really lucky that more people weren't killed in this. Unfortunately, both the pilot and co-pilot were killed. Thankfully, the drivers of the fire truck in this situation, they'll never forget, and neither will that air traffic controller. He'll always feel like that was his fault. Arguably, it could be, but considering, again, the high frequency of things that they have to keep track of, it's amazing that this kind of thing doesn't happen more often. And honestly, airports, at least as far as the air traffic controller's job, I've been offered a job, and we only had 2 gates in my hometown airport, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Probably should have. It was one of the better paying jobs in my hometown, but
we
at
had
least
Spanglish generation on.
with my
I
education.
have quite a bit of experience with Cuban Americans personally, and I've spent some time in Cuba. It was, I would say this, it was one of my formative experiences. I found out I was right-wing in 7th grade drama class when my drama teacher said we need to give back all the land to Native Americans, and I had just come from history class, and in Quebec we had the Algonquins and the Iroquois, and they were at horrible war, and I said, well, which tribe should we give it back to? She said, that's so right-wing. I went home, asked my dad, what does that mean, right-wing? He explained it to me. I went back the next day, and I said, hey, I am right-wing, and she failed me.
Wow. What an Algonquin.
Which is always hilarious, because, look, the whole idea of being on stolen land is retarded. Now, I mean, I'll be the first to admit that some of the things that conquistadors and other people did while they were exploring the world were horrific. Some of them over-dramatized, but a lot of them horrific. But for the time, it was commonplace. Still horrible, but you really can't look back with a modern lens and look at what happened. You can agree that it was horrifying and that people lived like savages back then. All people. But you just, I don't know. But but the native tribes, it's not like they were all living in harmony. They fought each other all the time. Not just in our history, but through their history. So when you say you're on stolen land, they had their lands and then their hunting grounds and some of their sacred burial grounds and hunting grounds and such. But they fought each other all the time. Not all of them were violent, of course, but they all had their warriors. They all had their defenders. And there was always land squabbles. So let's not act like this is just a Western problem.
Yeah, I went to Cuba. This was my first real, personal experience where it deeply affected me. First time I was in Cuba, it was for a stupid Rising Crust Pizza commercial because it was baseline budgeting. Spent time in Havana. There were blackouts then, just so you know. The entire hotel. We had to go to a restaurant that was in somebody's house. Everything was candlelight. This is nothing new.
That sounds romantic.
It is, except for the abject poverty.
Oh.
And I got
the
very,
smell
very
from
sick.
the not working toilet. Okay.
And I got very sick. But I saw that, and then I believe I was 16, saw Canadians going on vacation to the beaches, coming home, and back then showing everyone their Polaroids, going, no, it's great. And I remember being so mad. This is before the term privilege, white privilege, was really a thing. But that really stuck with me. And here's the thing you need to understand. You can't help people. It's not possible if they live under a communist regime. It's not possible because the regime will ensure that none of your help goes to those people.
The only way to help them is to get them out.
That's exactly right. The only way to help them is to force some kind of regime change by any levers you can pull. So that brings us to this weekend. The Nuestra America Convoy, organized by Code Pink, those lovely ladies, arrived in Cuba with $400-something thousand worth of supplies, enough food for not even themselves on their own trip.
Really?
Yeah, and they went with Code Pink, a bunch of angry, shrieking feminists, an Irish rapper, and a Turkish communist in $3,000 glasses, and they want you to know that.
And that's not it. They weren't $3,000 glasses. They were $1,800 glasses. But he also had, I think, a $2,200 ring. His shirt was also like an $800 shirt, $500 pants. I think he had $1,200 shoes on. Like this, the man's outfit was $10,000. And he's walking around impoverished people. Like, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
That hey,
it was a silk shirt.
They're doing the right thing by going and helping the Cuban communists. Sorry, I mean the Cuban people, or they're supporting.
Like his entire outfit would have taken some of these people their entire fucking lives to get the kind of money it would cost to even have something he wore for one day.
Whatever, just watch their social videos.
We saw, at least it made some news, the fact that there was an outage of electricity on the whole island. We're going to support for the Cuban people.
Cuba sí bloqueo no. Cuba sí bloqueo no. Cuba sí bloqueo no.
They're under the cosh from the United States. They've been under the cosh from the United States ever since 1960. But this time it's kind of worse, and it's worse because President Trump has said he wants to destroy Cuba.
Their dictatorship. He wants to destroy their dictatorship. He has never said he wants to destroy Cuba.
Most other presidents have used
destroy the regime.
Yeah.
The Iranian regime. And as criminal as this blockade is, the intensification of the economic warfare against Cuba.
No Cubans, by the way.
Even though they don't have electricity, they are so rich. They're so rich in love, and they keep spreading that love to all of us.
Notice these are all elite, overprivileged white people. And Hassan Piker, who's pretty much an overprivileged white dude.
Actually dominates their lives.
I know he's Turkish. Technically, it's also part of Europe.
We don't even know about it. Most Americans don't even know about it. And I would go so far as to say even a lot of Cubans don't know about it either.
Well, you should tell them.
Yeah, he should be there to tell them.
Vision of Humanidad. This is the mural for humanity, and it's going to have little boats with.
What are you doing to my wall?
They're the supplies that will be going directly to the government.
We are going to on our way to Cuba. We have lots and lots of medical supplies.
That is what we need, Mrs. Droopy Dog Face.
I mean, basically.
And those crates, those boxes, that's then being intercepted by the how much you want to bet that'll be in the black market or powering their individual suites and mansions while the people starve.
This is not the first time you've made this point. You actually called it prior.
Come, let Zoltar tell you more.
I translate the next pitch ball right past the flag.
We're going to win the game.
I guarantee.
What do you think the chances are that Hassan Piker will be delivering supplies straight to the Cuban people, bypassing the government, or do you think it'll be going to the government for them to distribute?
Every single thing that arrives in Cuba goes through the government. The only reason they're going to Cuba and being allowed to do this whole charade is because it's already been filtered.
Yeah.
Come, let Zoltar tell you more.
I calculate the next pitch ball right past the flag. We're going to win the game, I guarantee.
How did I know?
What? Yeah, and first of all, I want to say, whoever donated $455,000 worth of stuff, that's very nice. But how do they think that's going to get to 11 million people? How does that distribute to 11 million?
And the spirit of it, nice. They're actually, it'd be like if you see, let's say, there's a tyrant on a block, right, who is ruling with an iron fist, raping, starving, killing everybody. And they say, hey, we need help. And you go, oh, great. And give that bully $430,000.
Yes.
That they are enabling
the bully
and empowering the government, which will ensure the people remain oppressed. For as long as the government can get away with it, the government will ensure that people live in poverty while they live high on the hog. It's never happened any other way. It's never taken place any other way. There is no example of communism where that has not been the case. Maoist China, you look at Pol Pot, you can look at Stalin, of course you can look at the Castros, Guevara, all of them individually lived the decadent lifestyle that they champion against while the people live in poverty. Not one example to the opposite. So maybe that's why you can contrast these wealthy leftists supporting, enabling communism, which, by the way, they've told you that. They've told you that.
And they absolutely, they look, they don't actually care. They like that the poor stay poor in America and outside of America because it gives them purpose. It makes them feel like they're actually doing something when all they're doing is making sure that we stay down so they can seem like they care. It's really sick if you think about it.
That's what they want to do. While the Cuban people, who overwhelmingly, when you look at any data, and it's very hard to find because the government isn't too keen on transparency, overwhelmingly oppose their communist regime. Maybe that's why you see the contrast between these people, five-star resort, and the Cuban people living in total darkness this weekend. The only thing lit up was the hotel where they were staying.
Yep, where they're using a
sweet car.
Where they're using gas for a generator. Oh. Yeah, and every car here is vintage because they haven't sold a new car there because they can't afford to fuel them.
Ah, look, Cuba looks fine.
Jeez. They've even got the outside security lights on.
And I want, again, like I was so beside myself this weekend, think of this level of evil. People going, hey, we're starving. Please, can you guys get the government out? Don't give them anything. They're just going to use it to oppress us more. And then white liberals going, shut up. No, the government is good. And just to be clear, I have said their allegiance is to communism. I mean it. That's not hyperbole. They can't even make the argument that actually, well, hold on a second, we do want to work with the government to help the people, but maybe there can be some reform. No, the Code Pink-backed envoy, these people gave a standing ovation to Cuban dictator, tyrant, communist Miguel Diaz-Canel. Here's the video. They are saluting a tyrant.
Now you see Code Pink in there, right?
Now, take this into context. By the way, we live stream at 11 a.m. Eastern. If you're watching a clip, we do it every weekday. That guy ordered basically the ban of any artistic displays in Cuba outside of those approved by the government. That was one of his first acts. He arrested, fined dozens of people for internet posts criticizing the regime. And by the way, the fine is 3 times the average monthly salary. This is a guy who imprisoned 1,500 people for protesting over the economy. Not for acts of violence, for protesting. Hey, maybe the reason that the power only was on in the hotel in that convention center, as opposed to anywhere else in Cuba, was because this dictator, this tyrant, wants people like this, who he knows will support him, to go out and champion his cause on social media. Maybe he wants them to push the propaganda while people starve. Do you get how evil this is?
That's a very important thing to remember there. In 2018, ordered all artistic displays to be government approved. So that wall they're painting,
approved.
That was approved, if not mandated or guided. That concert, all the videos are taken, everything had to be approved.
Yep.
They didn't have, and they go in there, oh, I'm doing that. No, you had no say in any of it.
Yep. And every single person who they encounter would have to be people approved by the communist regime. And then these people go out on social, go, oh, the Cuban people actually love the... You literally can't leave the premises from where it has been entirely orchestrated.
Yeah.
As nothing more than propaganda. So let's go through the key players pushing this evil. And I mean evil. People are dying because of communism in Cuba. And these people want that government. Make no mistake, that's why they saluted them. That's why they give them a standing oath. They want that government to remain in power because America bad. Kneecap, an Irish rapper, I guess.
What? They got the best kind of rap.
Yeah. Tibia was taken.
But 2 Chainz wasn't available?
So he decided to show up and support Cuba's tyrannical regime.
Oh, it's awful.
Oh, a bouncy house.
That's really shitty music. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, the remaining places that had power outside that hotel went out right after their concert.
Whoops.
Including 5 hospitals, by the way.
Dang.
While he's up there in Cuba saying, free, free Palestine. Yeah, that's what the Cuban people need. They need you to sermonize on Palestine. He even confirmed this, by the way. This is not hearsay. You can check out the references. We make them available every show. He wrote, even in Havana, with the power cutting out shortly after our gig, the message of solidarity to Palestine remains the same. F*** off.
And this is one thing that drives me crazy. All the punk rock bands and such that I've been fond of over the years, they're all a bunch of sellouts. They were never actually punk. They all formed, and I understand you have to do this for a living, so to an extent you have to sell out at least a little bit. But to the extent that some of them do, especially the ones that are pretty much just the kids of rich people, you know, people who could afford to have a garage growing up, it really drives me nuts seeing all these punk rock bands. I mean, Rage Against the Machine, yes, they're very talented. I like their music. But at the same time, they're a bunch of spoiled-ass rich kids. Bunch of California spoiled rich kids. Especially the lead guy, the one that writes all the lyrics and shit. Like, come the fuck on. And that's a lot of these bands. The only one that's real was not Sid Vicious, but oh shit, what was it? Johnny Rotten. He's the only person I've ever seen that still goes against the establishment. Again, the establishment is they who have control over the was it the zeitgeist, the overall narrative, the mainstream. That's the big one. And most of them just fall in line. Let me tell you this. If all the news organizations agree with you, you're the mainstream. I hate to inform you of that.
No bleep needed for that. By the way, it's not just an individual. Kneecap is the group name, not the individual.
I don't
name,
care.
Yeah. No, I don't care either,
I know.
but I want to make sure
I
they
know.
don't have anything
Kneecap
to
the
complain
group.
about.
I'm sorry. It's like the Beastie Boys, but gay.
What are there, 2 of them?
I mean...
So he acknowledges the power went off. So you know there's no power anywhere else on the island. There was some power, you know, right there around the hotel. Hey, do you think that members of the Cuban government can't hit a crank and let people boil their water? No, of course they want to starve their people. For the same reason, they have to have armed guards protecting these approved artists so that they don't get torn limb from limb. But he wants to use this platform to push Palestine. They want this government in power. Hassan Piker is the other player here. And I'm going to fact check what he told you. It's just factually incorrect.
The British
He seems to be
retard,
getting
Mr.
dumber.
Crowder.
He flew commercial, looked like they were flying first class. I have no problem with it, except for when you say you're going on a flotilla and you're doing this in solidarity with the Cuban people. Stayed at a 5-star hotel, the Grand Hotel Bristol in Havana. The cheapest room is like over $200 a night. The average salary for someone in Cuba is $13 a month, just to be clear. Piker misinformed his audience. He wants you to know, he was forced to stay at the 5-star hotel by the American government.
The American government makes it illegal for Americans to stay wherever they want when they're in Cuba. They have to stay in what they've declared as 5-star hotels, right?
Wrong.
Oh, for you.
I'm telling you.
He sips out. This is as big a cup as I can afford here.
Not good enough, huh?
Not for a guy with.
It's not like. It's what the American government has declared 5-star hotels.
Yeah, gross American government. Enjoy those $2,000 Cartier pedophile glasses. Here's the truth.
Cute little espresso cup.
Yeah, the truth is the opposite of that. It's actually the opposite. Americans are only prohibited from staying at government-owned properties. And there are plenty of people who do missions trips or do charity work, right? There are exemptions. The American policy is actually officially to encourage that people stay at individual homes. They're called casas particulares, if I'm pronouncing that. Particulares. Meaning the American government says you just can't stay at government-owned properties, and we recommend that you stay at individual Airbnbs so that your money will go directly to people. Hassan Piker chose to stay at the 5-star hotel, which he wants you to know isn't all that nice. Yeah. Does it get any more obvious as far as limousine liberal, if people use the term champagne socialist? Could it possibly be any more obvious that these people are loyal to communism and that they're evil? It's fine, though. Cubans love actually having no power being broke while artists from other countries get to play in a hotel with a bouncy house.
It's truly one of my favorite places officially. I totally understand why Will was saying that about Cuba. It's remarkable. The people's resilience is remarkable. There's like rolling blackouts that take place throughout the day, every day, all around the country, right?
Why?
11 million people. But today is a beautiful day out here. It's like 75 degrees, sunny.
Oh.
People are partying. People are partying in the streets. I don't know if it's like an island mindset. I don't know if it's like, I don't know if that has something to do with it. I'm sure that has something to do with it, but like, they're just chilling. Like, the Cubans just, they vibe. They chill.
They vibe. They chill.
What the hell?
They're on street corners because they have no jobs and they have no food.
They chill. They don't really argue or fight back.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
They're pretty chill. They got good vibes.
Also notice that none of these people uploaded anything to social outside what was taking place in that hotel and a few guided tours. It's remarkable to me. Yeah, they seem to be fine.
Guided tours.
Really? They're fine. They're rolling black, but they're cool with it. Doesn't have to be, and it's been going on for decades. This is not new. Here's something else. I couldn't believe that this was said out loud, and just picture someone saying this, like, yeah, the Africans in Africa suck, but the Africans in America are cool, or vice versa. This is exactly what Hassan said. The Cubans in Miami, the people who fled Cuba, they're actually bad. But the Cubans in Cuba are cool. So don't listen to the Cuban Americans who tell you it's bad. Listen to Hassan Piker.
Not in Miami? Oh, dude, it's the reversal. Actually, literally, like, exact opposite. Like, all the good Cubans.
It's like the internet knew that he was. Look at that. He's so transparent.
Most of the ones that are crazy just like flew up there. I swear to God. I had a really funny experience with that. It's like we get in the car.
So funny.
We get into Uber last night. March and I are about to discuss that we're gonna be on Cuba, like talking about plans, right? And I was like, March, don't say anything, because I noticed that the dude in the car was a Miami Cuban. I was like, don't. Like, I literally went, don't say anything. And then I just asked him. I was like, where are you from? And he's like, oh, Cuba. And I was like, okay. And I just asked him about, like, you know, what his feelings are about what's going on. March actually spat some some Spanish at him.
Oh, how worldly.
And let me tell you, okay?
Tell me.
He said Donald Trump needs to finish the job. That's what he said. That was the first guy.
Yeah, and so
What? Someone who hated it so much there that he fled.
Cuban who thinks that they're actually speaking under legitimate terms.
That's like 90% of Cubans.
At a certain point, they can't all be wrong. But let me get this straight. The guy who's vacationing in Cuba as part of a propaganda tour cheering the government wants to educate the man who lived in Cuba
Who fled
as
from
to
there.
why it's actually great.
Yeah, get stuffed.
This was this entire weekend.
What an arrogant asshole.
Yeah. I think it's worse than arrogance. I think these people, they don't want you to
It
know
is
that
great
they support communism. They would love to
retardation.
see a global communist takeover. They've let you know, Cuba, great. America, bad. Communism in Cuba, better than Donald Trump in the United States. And then the irony is lost on them. If you're wondering why Hassan Piker didn't live stream any of the interviews, well, he explained that too without a hint of irony.
Most of the interviews will be off the stream because it's like very difficult to. One, it's very difficult to get around. Not as bad as like you would think, but it's still obviously a bit of a pain to get around. And also on top of that, there's severe.
Why don't you just party and vibe?
limitations here. The energy grid is currently stable, luckily, but as you guys know, the energy grid was taken out for like 24 hours.
By who?
Just not in your hotel and the government buildings.
And the government won't let him go anywhere is probably what he's saying. Like, oh, it's hard to get around. Like, you'd be surprised. Why? They have cars. Don't they have cars there? I thought you could get around. Or maybe they want you to stay at the quote-unquote not-so five-star resort.
Right.
I don't think they have a ton of cars. But it
They
probably
do have quite a few. They're all from the 50s.
I'm sure he doesn't want to advertise how hard it is to get around for people because it has been for years and years and years. And it's not a new thing. I'm sure he doesn't want to advertise that.
So stupid.
Also, he's not allowed to leave the premises.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, then there's that.
Okay, in 3, 2.
Whoa. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Lobotomies.
Giving each other lobotomies.
Why? No, why are you giving it a
to you?
What is it? Coffee.
Code Pink is the other player. Remember Code Pink? Code Pink, they used to be like the anti-war troop of shrieking
I hear their
feminists,
coffee's
up and
pretty good.
something about hands off my vagina or whatever. And now they're in Cuba.
You were saying for a while, where'd they go?
Yeah, where did Code Pink go?
Where they been?
Well, they went to communist Cuba to give a standing ode to the regime. Here's a quote from their website. Code Pink is a feminist grassroots organization working to end U.S. warfare and imperialism, support peace and human rights initiatives, and redirect resources into healthcare, education, green jobs, and other life-affirming programs. What's funny to me is you'll note there aren't a ton of rainbow flags. A lot of free Palestine, but not a ton of rainbow flags. Yeah, Che Guevara sent everyone who he referred to as a faggot to labor camps, saying that the work would make them men. They're not super tolerant of that in communist Cuba, to be clear. It's not the only communist regime that Code Pink decides to support. On their website, they have a whole page titled
CCP?
China
Is it CCP?
is not the
Hey,
enemy,
look at
which
that.
could have fooled me. The U.S. continues to manipulate the minds of U.S. citizens to support the war while funneling our tax dollars into militarizing communities in the Asia-Pacific that don't want us there. Now do Japan.
About South Korea.
Code Pink, the co-founder, again, there with Hassan and the Irish rap group Kneecap. So Jody Evans, married to a guy named Neville Roy Singham. He works with the CCP to specifically spread Chinese propaganda.
Oh, nice.
Shares a Shanghai office
Imagine.
with the CCP media company, Maku Group. We've talked about the Maku Group. They produce pro-China content that, of course, gets distributed across TikTok. You know, where Hassan also took part, the Little Red Book, right? Remember, he was, oh, wow, I'm going to cherish this forever. And, by the way, also responsible for 25% of Code Pink's donations. So,
Yeah, and keep in mind, Hassan Piker did go to China and spread a lot of Chinese propaganda while he was there. Then he got detained for a meme that they saw as anti-Chinese that he posted, and they detained him for a bit. If this happened in America, Hassan Piker would say all kinds of things, like when he got stopped at in an airport because he's on a terror watch list because of the things that he says on Twitch. He was detained for about 20 minutes, and he said that he was in there for about 2 hours. It was horrible. It was horrible. It was so scary. He was in there for about 20 minutes, the average amount of time that anyone gets pulled to the side. He should just be happy they didn't put on any gloves. any gloves.
The same people saying, yeah, communist Cuba is fine. Communist Cuba is better than Trump's America. The Islamic Republic is better than Trump's America.
Oh, yeah, but he made a big deal about that, acting like his rights were violated. Meanwhile, he gets detained in China for posting a meme that they deemed as against the Chinese people or against the Chinese government. And he didn't say anything about that. He's like, yeah, I had a great time in China. It was great. It was awesome. It was wonderful. They gave me Mao's Little Red Book.
America. Hamas.
And he acted as like somebody just got their favorite thing on Christmas when he got it. He was like, oh my God. Oh, this is amazing. He looked like Dennis Reynolds when he got the Countach on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the Christmas special.
Better than Trump's America. The Communist Chinese Party. Better than Trump's America. Are you guys starting to get the picture? You may think that one of them is, but when all of them are, you go, oh, their allegiance is to Marxism, which also, hey, I'm just asking question, may explain some of those on the right, some of the Johnny-come-latelys, their sudden turn to not America first, but America and China equal.
The U.S. is not going to defend and cannot defend Taiwan. Now,
Should not defend?
I don't know, should? I don't, that's something.
I mean, I'm asking you to lay out what you think a coherent.
I think we've reached the limits of our power, and power has limits. Like, that's another thing just to keep in mind. Power's not infinite. You can squander it. And we're in the process of doing
And what
that.
about Japan and South Korea?
Oh, man, it's hard. I don't understand.
I hate hearing Tucker Carlson speak. He speaks like someone who thinks everything he says is profound, when it's literally basic bitch at best and very starkly obvious propaganda at worst. But it's usually both of those things somehow. I hate. I shouldn't say hate, but I do. Everything, his laugh, everything about his personage, it exists clearly to piss me off, and it doesn't really make me angry. It's just fun to say. But he is
exactly
awful.
How that's going to go.
Yeah, we know
at all from an American perspective. But like, in the end, big powers want to and get to control their regions. We have something called the Monroe Doctrine. This was another problem I had with Russia. It's like Russia, of course, is going to demand influence in Ukraine, and you could say, oh, it's a sovereign country. They can't have any influence there. Be real. A big power wants to control, hopefully in a non-brutal, enlightened way, but they want some influence over their neighbors. We can no longer be the sole author of terms, of commerce, of anything. We have to share power.
With China?
Of course, because of their scale. And so there's got to be a non-destructive way to do this.
Before America was the hegemon, before the U.S. dollar was...
Oh, yeah, Tucker Carlson listening to this retard.
But now...
Look, I will say this. I know Asians get a positive stereotype of them being very intelligent, and it's true in a lot of cases. It's true in most cases, even. This guy's retarded. Everything that he says. How do I know? Well, besides being on the Tucker Carlson show, tell you what, if he doesn't bring it up in this video, I'll bring it up on another show.
What we want to do is open a dialogue where everyone is respected.
I want to do a deep dive on this retard.
America is no longer the bully,
that
but
sounded
a willing partner in creating a new
no homo.
economic order that benefits everyone and not just a few.
I think that's the wisest possible advice and probably the only path that preserves civilization. But the one country standing in the way of that is Israel.
Now, here's the thing that I don't understand. How is it America first to open up a dialogue and bring ourselves down to the level of a communist nation in order to ensure economic prosperity for everyone? I'm a little confused. Why should we ensure the economic prosperity of China? We don't need to kowtow to them. We're the ones holding the cards. What part of that is America first? Also, how do you do that? How do you ensure prosperity of the people in nations like China or Cuba or Venezuela or Iran when they're communist and they guarantee that their own people will never experience prosperity? How do you do that? I just don't understand how that's America first. Here's what I view as America first. Donald Trump's the first president ever to do anything about China. It was a foregone conclusion that they were going to be a world superpower. And the worst part is they were going to do that through ripping people off and underhanded tactics.
And this is one of the things that it really drives me crazy. the Venezuela and the Iran thing, it hurts China and Russia more than it hurts the people of those two countries. Not the not the leadership, not the regimes, but at least as far as the two countries, Venezuela and Iran, not their people, but it hurts their regimes. But as far as the regimes in China and Russia, it hurts the regimes in China and Russia more than it hurts the actual people, non-regime people in Venezuela and Iran.
I want China, when I say this, I mean the communist Chinese government, as powerless, as feckless as possible. I don't want to link arms with them in any way. I was under the impression that that was America first. And we do have a guest to come on here in a little bit. But I do want you guys to note this is not an outlier. Okay? To be clear, when you talk about Cuba, China, whatever it is, but let's just stick with Cuba right now. Every leftist celebrity supported, knowingly, communist, fascist, totalitarian regimes in Cuba. All of them. And they'll tell you now, no, not that communism, and they'll move on to the next one and say, it didn't work, but it hasn't been tried right yet. They can't help themselves. They still have to praise the communist regime that is imprisoning, torturing, executing their own people. But let's go through the list of people who supported knowingly communism. Wow, they were executing people without trial under Castro's post-Che Guevara revolution. 64, Bob Dylan's girlfriend, Susan Rotolo. Francis Ford Coppola, Ted Turner, Bernie Sanders in 85. In 89, Peter Jennings, Katie Couric, Steven Spielberg, 2002, Oliver Stone, Michael Moore, Sean Penn. Now Hassan Piker, Code, Pink, Kneecap. They all praise. Do you believe that they don't know Bernie Sanders?
Let's go right here. Danny Glover, Kevin Costner, Jane Fonda. We knew about that one. Woody Harrelson, Matt Damon, Ed Asner, Shirley MacLaine, Naomi Campbell, Kate Moss, Oliver Stone, and Steven Spielberg. Jesus. That's kind of insane.
And 89, Piker, Code, Pink. They don't know. Do you believe that these people just don't know that it's an oppressive communist regime? Or do you think I have a case where I say they do know? That's what they want for you. But here's the thing, lost in the middle of all this. There are actual people in Cuba dying. There are actually thousands of Cubans who've been executed for speaking out against the government without trial. Hey, leftists, there actually have been thousands of guys with a lisp who have been sent to labor camps to work until they die in Cuba because of the communist regime. There are people there without power. There are people who likely died in the hospital, which I understand probably was going to happen anyway because unlike Michael Moore told you, their health care is god-awful in Cuba. But there were people who were in a hospital that then lost its power because of Kneecap's concert at the hotel that was housing unknowing propagandists. What part of this is America first? And I see, when you look at the board, I go, oh, okay, I get it. Venezuela, that's choking Cuba. I understand that. Yeah, okay. And both together, that's going to make it tough for China. Oh, all right, right now the regime is a little bit weakened because Russia they've got their hands full. Okay, it's a good time right now. And the Cuban people want it. The only people who don't want it are communists and those on the right who say it's not America first. But those are the same people who say we should link arms with China. I don't know what's happening at this point in time. And we're going to continue talking about this and more before I go to our guests. If you are not a member, click the button right etched. For $9. We are honest pricks, and we're able to do that because we're supported by people like you. Not all expenses paid. First-hand look at how the Cuban population feels, the bad Cubans, as Hassan Piker refers to them, about the activists going to the island.
Okay, the whole rest of this is just a bit. But it is true. These people don't actually care about anyone. It's all about clout. It's all about the message. It's not about the actual people involved. If it were, we would have done something about Cuba a long time ago, especially since Castro died. Ever since then, everything's just kind of they're a lot less scary when it comes to intervention since Castro's been gone. And look, love him or hate him, and I say this a lot when I hate to say the word glaze, but when I glaze Trump on things like these, love him or hate him, agree with any kind of intervention or not, this was probably the right move. Now, Do I think he's some kind of super genius who planned all this stuff out? Yada, yada, yada. No. I do think that things just happen to work out for him sometimes. Now, if, like Bill Maher says, it ends up Iran is free, Venezuela's free, and Cuba's free, then I will give any kind of credence to any thought that he's just some kind of low-key 5D chess player. Like I said, so far, I agree with some of the things as far as this. If it turns out that this new call for a ceasefire turns out to be some kind of ploy, I don't like some of the shadiness or sneak attacks. They're good ideas, but as far as long-term, look, a man's only as good as his word. If his word doesn't mean anything, then what is he really? If you can't trust something that someone says, you're really not good for anything except for maybe, hey, man, he's a lot of fun to hang out with on the weekends. But yeah, you're not really a friend. You're just entertainment, like going to a festival or amusement park. So I don't like it when the president does that. I do like it when he doesn't tell the press everything, because some of the press and even some of the people in Congress, Ilhan Omar, have been known to leak things to our quote-unquote enemies, or people who will leak things to our enemies. And that's the only thing. I really hate agreeing with conservatives on these things. I do. It drives me crazy. And I've had to do some soul searching because of it. But at least as far as things like this, look, you can say what you want about domestic policy, but at least as far as actual foreign policy, Trump's been pretty on point. I've never liked the Paris Climate Accords. The UN and NATO seem like they're being overtaken by people who don't care about world security. They'll shit on us when we have historically paid for everything, when we've taken care of everything. And while I don't like that America is the world police, I feel that basically like Captain America from the Civil War movie. I feel like, and while we're not perfect, I do think the safest place is in our hands, because there are those, even in the Western world, who are just, that we seem actively engaged to destroy our own countries because we feel bad about things that have happened in the past. And while equal rights has been a good thing for women and equal rights for minorities, especially those who have been hurt in some way, like the Chinese Americans, Vietnamese Americans, Black Americans. We do have that in our history, but it's not something we try to hide. I was raised in the South, in the Bible Belt, and a state that was part of the Confederacy, and we don't hide any of that, at least not in my state. Everything has been in there. And none of the ugliness was hidden, except for some of the bloodier, gorier, rapier details, if there were any. But it's, I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to stop there because I could sit here and blow V8 for forever about stuff like this. But I got to get to it. Y'all have a great day. I appreciate you. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you stay engaged in the comment section. But yeah, tonight's D&D night. I'll see y'all tomorrow morning. If D&D doesn't end up happening, if there's only like one or two of us, I might stream the game that we play in lieu of playing actual D&D. I think last week we played Peak. There's others that we all have. RV there, it looks like another good one. But anyway, that's all I got for today, guys. I appreciate you for stopping by. This has been